baseline move. Crossover, step back, good. And a foul.
Welcome to another episode of On the Block. I'm here with Zane, Brandon, Mike, and Ron. Guys, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls, how they've managed to be consistent with all their injuries, and also the rise of Jimmy Butler, who held out with contract negotiations in the preseason, and he's proven to be one of the best shooting guards in the league.
I think that was a smart move on his part, especially with the new TV deal that's coming about that will be in fruition in the next couple of seasons. Like we were talking about before the show, he's probably the best shooting guard in the league right now, or one of the best.
In terms of overall game, probably?
Overall game, for sure. I mean, because how many other, I don't think that there's many other two guards, if any, that come to mind that have lockdown defense like him, coupled with the offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, however, they are pretty beat up right now. Chicago's always been an injury-plagued team. They've always managed to be able to pull through in the fire. However, right now they've been dealt a serious blow, but I do have faith in Thibodeau, and I do have faith in guys like Jimmy Butler. And then the other reserve players that they do have. I know last week I said their reserve players are going to be playing a lot of minutes and they're going to get worn down. But if there's one team I'd bet my money on, it would be Chicago. So I'm not too worried about them.
That's a team that's been able to adjust with their reserve. They've had injuries after injuries every single year. And even the rookie on the team, Nikola Mirotic, he's playing arguably top 3 rookie this season so far. And he stepped up huge with the huge injury to Todd Gibson. So Derrick Rose not being there. Jimmy Butler, like you said, has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. Plays both sides of the ball. I'm expecting him to get a really big contract. Something close to like what Eric Bledsoe got. I think he's totally justified it.
Yeah, we talked about that. He's picked it up on both ends of the floor, like you said. He's averaging 20 points with this team that's depleted. Yeah. And now Mike want to talk about Cleveland, a team that's going to challenge for that division. And it seems like they've got it in order right now.
Cleveland's going to be all right. You know, it's early in the season when you have a team that's, I wouldn't say brand new with a lot of their pieces, but when you have a guy like LeBron James, everything is going to change. And everybody's role is going to be different. Instead of going with Kyrie or with Dion, everything now revolves around LeBron James. The most important thing for that team is that they lock in defensively. You know, offensively, at some point in the season, everything's going to be all right. They're going to find their game. LeBron's going to step up, and he will be that number one guy who's going to take charge in every game. Kyrie, he will play off LeBron, but the most important thing that I find they have to do is make sure you get Kevin Love established in the game early. Let him get his touches. Let him get some points in the paint. He is going to spread the floor, but overall, just make sure he's getting easy baskets. Like I said, defensively, on the block and on the perimeters where they're going to have to get stops if they want to be successful. But I think eventually they will do it. When is a big question. I'm not really sure they're really playing for where they want to be in the standings right now. Obviously, you do want to be a top 4 team because you do want home court advantage when they make it to the playoffs, because they will make it to the playoffs and they'll be good. But where they're going to finish right now, it's up to them. I mean, they still have a lot of improving to do, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows Cleveland's going to be just fine.
They'll be fine. And I think Washington is another team that a lot of people had being a top 4, top 3 team in the East. And now with Brad Beal back, they're coming off a big win against the Pelicans yesterday. Anthony Davis. They won by 2. Really close game.
Beal looks good, too.
And they've had their injuries, too, in the front court. I know that Nene missed another game. We talked about him always being injured. But they have guys that step up all the time. They threw in Chris Humphries to start, and he's doing a pretty decent job there for them. I think that's a team that you're going to have to look out for in the playoffs. And maybe a potential matchup with maybe the Raptors in the second round. That would be a really entertaining up and down matchup with both those backcourts.
Second best front court in the East, that's for sure. I mean, behind a healthy Chicago, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely close, though, if we're talking.
We're not mentioning the Raptors at all, though.
That's what I was just going to say. It's close because Lowry and DeRozan, I mean.
They're just off the charts right now.
Yeah.
They're different. I feel like Lowry, DeRozan, and John Wall and Bradley Beal, kind of apples and oranges in a sense. They're both effective, both sets of backcourts, but they both score in different ways. Mm-hmm. Whereas John Wall, baseline to baseline, much faster than Lowry is. And
but
Bradley
in terms
Beal,
of offensively,
his half-court game is
exactly.
not.
Then his half-court game isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Bradley Beal can essentially shoot the lights out from the perimeter.
Yeah,
DeMar really can't. Like, he's a mid-range shooter, but he'll also break you down off the dribble. You know what I mean? And get to the line.
They bring different things to the table.
Exactly, but they're both dynamic. They're both two dynamic backcourts, and that would be an amazing. That'd be an amazing playoff
with those two backcourts. Something that we envisioned last year would happen in the playoffs. I wish it did happen. with Toronto and Washington. But once again, if they meet this year, it'll be a really, really big matchup for sure.
And I guess the only other team to challenge that division you would think would be Miami, at least right now. And Miami, Dwayne Wade, I think, has missed the last 7 games. He's back tight against the Knicks.
Yeah.
But that's another team that might be able to challenge. And we thought Charlotte would, especially after last year. But like you were saying before, they've really struggled out the gate. They got blown up by 30 points in Atlanta yesterday. What do you think's wrong there?
The Hornets are not what we thought they were. That's us to say right now. Steve Clifford, who was the head coach, said it's all on him. They're actually 13th in the Eastern Conference right now, sitting at 4-13. Bringing in, being a team last year had a 22 game breakout in a sense. They won a lot of games last year to get that 8th position. This year, bringing in Marvin Williams, bringing in Lance Stevenson, you would expect them to be flying all cylinders, just connecting. They haven't done that. Kemba Walker has been taking a lot of ill-advised shots. Al Jefferson is not being included in the mix early enough and often. I just think they need to figure out something before they head into that home stretch. Where
now that you say that, it's also like Lance Stevenson really didn't understand how much those Indiana Pacers, guys like Paul George and Hibbert, how much better they made him. Because it does make a difference who you're playing with.
Huge
It went both ways because he also had a lot of triple doubles and he got everybody else involved
Yeah,
with that
that's true
offense.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem with Charlotte is their defense.
Yes.
And last year they were one of the top teams defensively, and this year they're near the bottom in almost every category, including points.
And let's be honest, they haven't drafted the best, even though they had the addition of with Marvin Williams and they've signed Lance Stevenson. With their other draft picks, they've really missed, like Cody Zeller, who's a projected number 1 pick, a huge player at Indiana, who never really,
Hairston.
they never really materialized to more than bench players.
Yeah.
So a lot of the blame has to be put on MJ for the poor draft picks he's made.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lance Stevenson is the kind of guy who's more of a utility guy. You can't build your offense around him because he's a really inefficient player who has really poor decision making, but he's able to do things like make some good plays passing wise, and also rebound the ball. But I don't think it's over for the Hornets. I think they have a lot of changes to do to change the identity of the team.
Just to counter what you're saying about MJ not picking the right players and whatnot, drafting Noah Vonleh, which is arguably in the NCAA one of the best power forwards. They're all like, he's picking good players when they're in the college, and transferring over, the transition into the NBA game is not the same. I think that's where
that also has to do with your coaching staff as well, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're developing, but I think that their biggest miss might have been Kid Gilchrist when they took him 2nd overall, because who went 3rd that year? Brad Beal.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine Brad Beal on that team. That's a totally
You can
different
say that
team.
now.
Well, of course you can, but I'm just saying that's a big miss. That's probably their biggest miss that they had.
His draft history, even going back to Adam Morris and Kwame Brown, has been questionable. So this isn't something new with MJ. I think he's been given the benefit of the doubt, obviously, because he has a large stake of ownership in the team. But with the coach, as you said, reflecting on his shortcomings, MJ kind of has to do the same.
Yep.
Don't expect it to happen, but we have to say it like it is.
Yeah. We're going to have to wrap this up right now with the East. When we come back, we're going to talk about DeMar DeRozan, his injury, and what's that going to mean for the Toronto Raptors, and also touch on the West when we return on the block.